Mr. President, honorable ALDE members, dear colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to be able to address you at today's 36th Annual Congress of ALDE. I cannot be with you in person today due to an extraordinary meeting of the Justice and Home Affairs Council following last week's tragic events in Paris. These brutal attacks, killing 129 people, were an attack against our freedoms, our way of life, and our values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence. It is precisely these values that we will defend. We shall not be guided by fear, and we must not let the attackers disrupt our lives. Instead, we shall be resolute in our response to terrorism and hatred. This means stepping up police and judicial cooperation between our member states, improving the exchange of criminal records, and taking measures against the threat of radicalization, especially in prisons. We will discuss further measures at today's meeting. At the same time, we have to defend not only our security, but our values. Already after the Charlie Hebdo attacks, we put strong emphasis on this. Vice President Timmermans and I dedicated this year's Fundamental Rights Colloquium to the burning issue of anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim hatred. For the very first time at European level, representatives of the Jewish and Muslim communities sat together to discuss how to promote tolerance and respect and prevent and tackle hate crime. We all agreed to work on 4 concrete actions. First, empower those active at local level to build a culture of tolerance, in particular through education. Second, fight hate speech by working with IT companies, civil society, and the media. Third, ensure proper implementation of hate crime laws and improve recording and data collection of hate crime incidents. And finally, promote diversity as well as strengthen non-discrimination rules. These actions are all the more relevant after the events in Paris. As always in times of hardship, minorities are the first victims to fall because of their racial, religious, or ethnic backgrounds. They are at risk of being singled out and treated as scapegoats. Today we come together to reaffirm our will to fight this growing wave of hatred and to protect the values that define Europe. The themes of freedom, fundamental rights and liberal values call to mind the words of an exceptional woman who knows the price of freedom better than most. Aung San Suu Kyi, whose party won a stunning victory 10 days ago, once said, "Solidarity is a beautiful word. It means that you reach out to those who are different from you because you recognize that we all share the same human needs and the same values. It is the values that count most of all. The value of freedom of thought, the value of democratic practices, the value of respect for your fellow human beings." Let me now turn to our host country of this year's event, Hungary. I know that some have criticized the Commission for being too soft. I disagree with this claim. First of all, the Commission brought in recent years numerous infringement proceedings to ensure the application of EU law, including on rule of law related aspects, and this has led to concrete results. Second, When Hungary talked about reintroducing the death penalty last year, the Commission spoke up immediately and sternly warned Hungary against their plan. As for the current refugee crisis, the Commission is closely monitoring developments in Member States. It is the Commission's duty to remain an objective and impartial arbiter. In other words, we take measures that are based on concrete facts as we observe them in Member States. We must make the most of our existing tools. It means infringement proceedings in case of violations of EU law and the rule of law framework when necessary. We need to be ready to act in a determined manner whenever our values come under threat. Also, actors must come around the same table and talk to each other. Ladies and gentlemen, hatred, ignorance and fear are shaking Europe on its very democratic foundations. Let us prove through political commitment and concrete actions that Europe is, must and will be a Europe that protects both our security and our values, founded on solidarity, inclusive tolerance and respect of fundamental rights. Thank you.